If you're building out a SaaS business, there's two metrics that every investor looks at to figure out if you've got a healthy business, if you've got healthy growth, if you've got a way of building out this business that's actually scalable. The two metrics are customer lifetime value and customer acquisition cost. On this video, I'm going to be digging into customer acquisition cost. I'm going to explain exactly what it is, why it's important, and the three strategies that you can use to actually reduce that cost. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, author of the book, How to Punch the Sunday Jitters in the Face, entrepreneur, star founder, and angel investor. On this channel, I help star founders like you build and execute on an unstoppable strategy across your life and your business. I drop an episode like this every single Sunday with the TK energy, so be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you get notified when I drop an episode. So as I was building out my SaaS business, Tout App, which I took from 0 to 7 million ARR, which we then sold to Marketo. And then I worked at Marketo to help build out that SaaS business and sell it to Adobe for $4.75 billion. I learned a thing or two about what makes for a healthy SaaS business through the twists and turns in the road. And what I learned is there's two sets of metrics. There's a set of metrics that you actually look at to navigate the path to growth, to navigate your product to product market fit. And there's a separate set of metrics that investors look at to actually understand if you've got a healthy business. Now, the thing is, one is a leading indicator and the other is a lagging indicator. They're both important. On a prior episode, I walked through the 5 SaaS metrics that I use to actually diagnose and understand how to scale the growth of a SaaS business. They were acquisition, activation, revenue, retention, referral. These 5 metrics actually tie into a flywheel, and if you look at them together as a flywheel with your ICP, your ideal customer profile in the middle, they actually help you navigate this path to product market fit. They help you understand what's working and what's not. They're leading indicators to really start to understand, all right, how do I ship code or close deals? Those are the 2 levers that matter the most. If you want to dig more into what these SaaS metrics are and how this actual flywheel works, you can check out this video where I go more into these SaaS metrics. I'll link to it below. You don't have to leave right now. But on this video, I want to talk about the lagging indicators. Here's the thing. What I learned is you can have an insanely successful product. You can have really high engagement metrics, but still not have a successful SaaS business in the investor's eyes. There's a difference. What that means is, and we've seen this not just in like our own experiences, you can look at Uber, you can look at Lyft, you can look at WeWork. Customers love these companies and the products they have to offer. However, investors gauge them on a completely separate set of metrics to understand if they're profitable businesses. And that's where this dichotomy comes between your 5 SaaS metrics, which is like really driving for user engagement and user growth and user value and that product market fit, and whether it's a healthy business. This is why the 2 metrics that matter the most is customer acquisition cost and customer lifetime value. These 2 metrics, which are lagging indicators, you can't predict them up front until you really get this flywheel going, really gauge whether you're building and bringing in customers and serving them in a profitable way. So on this video, I'm going to really dig into customer acquisition cost. In customer acquisition cost, I'm going to walk you through what it is, why it's important, and 3 strategies that I use to actually reduce it. On the next video, I'm going to dig into customer lifetime value. Customer lifetime value, again, what is it, why it's important, and how to actually increase it. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. That way, after this video, you learn everything about customer acquisition cost. You'll also know how to actually optimize for the customer lifetime value as well. If you're excited to dig in, also smash that like button and let's get right into it. Customer acquisition costs, I don't want to overcomplicate it. All that really is how much money you're spending in over a period of time to bring in customers. And there are different variations on exactly how you calculate it. I'll link to some resources below in my Unstoppable Guide to Product Market Fit, which you can download. We go into some details into how to actually calculate and the variations of it. But the gist of it is, for a given period of time, how much did you spend in sales? How much did you spend in marketing to actually bring in the number of customers that you brought in? That's what customer acquisition cost is. And needless to say, you want to bring that as low as possible. And the benchmark for this is it needs to be lower, way lower than the lifetime value of the customer. Meaning, if you spend $1 to bring in a customer and that customer only pays you 50 cents through its lifetime, you have a terrible SaaS business. However, if you spend $1,000 to bring in a customer, but over the lifetime value, on average, the customer actually spends $50,000 or $100,000 or $1 million with you, then you've got a great SaaS business. Now there's nuances to this. Now that you know exactly what CAC is and what LTV is and why it's important, why investors obsess over it, you're probably asking, all right, TK, I'm with you. How do I actually reduce my CAC? I'm glad you asked. I'm gonna give you the 3 strategies that I've consistently used to actually reduce CAC for your SaaS business. This is where I always go back to my flywheel. I'm starting to call this my unstoppable flywheel for SaaS growth. I like to give it names, and I kind of like this. And the whole idea, again, I'll link to the video. This is the video, the SaaS metrics video. I'll link to it below. You can check it out after. Basically, it explains each of these metrics, but the whole way this works is you have your ideal customer profile, which is like the core group of people that you really want to go into. And then as you bring people from your ideal customer profile and you acquire them into your product or your sales process, you measure acquisition, which is when they get into the process. You measure activation when they start using the product. You measure revenue when they actually pay you money post a trial or a sales process. You then measure retention to figure out how long they're stuck around, and you measure referrals. How many of them actually refer other people to join your company or your product? That is basically the flywheel, and you can check out the details in the video that I linked to down below. When it comes to reducing CAC, the natural inclination for most founders is to start here. They'll start to say, well, I've got this ICP, maybe I'm running ads, maybe I have a sales funnel, maybe I'm cold calling, cold emailing. Let's focus on this and make sure we're hyper efficient here. That's usually where I say, you know what, don't focus on that in the early stages yet. That should be number 3, and I will get to number 3 strategy. The first places you really want to focus on are the people that are already in your funnel or in your ecosystem, meaning these are people that already trust you enough to be in your product or actually becoming clients and customers of yours. They trust you that much, they already paid you money. The easiest ways to actually start reducing customer acquisition costs is by leveraging the people that already trust you. So my first strategy that I always give clients that are part of the Unstoppable Startup Accelerator and people that I work with and advise in the SaaS business that I've ever worked on is actually focusing first on referrals. This piece. This piece from referrals, these are people that are already customers. They've already paid you. They're staying, they're using your product. You want to actually start doing referrals and asking for referrals. The biggest thing I learned about driving growth for SaaS businesses is that it's actually pretty simple principles, but as it always goes, simple is not always easy. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to gather up the courage to go up and say, hey, do you have 3 other people that would love our product? Because here's the thing, if you're selling to a certain type of ideal customer, say you're selling to VPs of sales, at Title we sold to VPs of sales, they hang out with other VPs of sales and they talk about the tooling that they use. So being able to go up to them and say, hey, we are doing a lot of value for you. I hope you're happy. I understand that you're happy. It would be awesome if you can refer me to 3 other VPs of sales that would love our platform and love our product, because we want to bring on more people onto our platform. It's hard to do and it takes a bit of courage, but once you start doing it, you're leveraging your most rabid fans. If you're kind of in the lower end of the market, and by the way, I did a whole video on market segmentation that you can check out. I'll link to it below. If you're in the mid-market or in the lower end of the market, not in the big enterprise, you can start to run incentives even inside your product to drive for referral. Have a giant referral button and a referral bonus and give them an extra quarter free if they're actually bringing on a customer into your platform. So you can start to do a lot of things around driving referrals. My favorite thing to do, which wasn't my favorite before, is to actually host client dinners. This is a trick I picked up from a book by Mark Benioff. He talked about how in the early days of Salesforce, he held these client dinners and he would bring a mix of people that were clients and people that were prospective clients, and also a mix of people that were just brought along by existing clients because they would be a good fit for Salesforce as well. And that was super, super powerful. There was a caveat though. I'm generally an introvert. kind of an ambivert, and I was deathly scared of doing these dinners. My then VP of customer success, Cliff Kate, was like, TK, we gotta do a dinner, we gotta bring these people together. It'll solidify our position with our clients, but also it'll get us new pipeline because they're gonna bring friends. So we gotta do this dinner. And I'm like, Cliff, like, what are we gonna do in this dinner? Like, what do I talk about? And like, if you're doing dinners and you're kind of scared of them, I have something for you. This is sort of an aside. I ended up inventing this game for these dinners. I call it Truth or Bullshit. And the truth or bullshit game is there's a very specific way to do it, and they ended up driving the most successful client dinners. It gave me a framework to go into this room and talk to this group of people and play this game and got everyone talking. So that's part of this whole referral strategy. Either ask them for it or bring them into these client dinners. And if you're afraid of doing these things, like if you're afraid of hosting a client dinner, just do it.
Do it! Just do it!
It's gonna be super valuable, but also play the truth or bullshit game. Luckily for you, I love this game so much and it's so valuable. I play it all the time when I host dinner parties, even with clients. I did a whole video on this, the dinner party game, the truth or bullshit game. You can check that out. I'll link to it below. You can check it out after this video, but that's what that looks like. That's strategy number one, drive for more referrals. Don't start to optimize on this whole acquisition piece. Get that later. You really want to optimize for people that already trust you and start creating space so they can bring more people into your movement, into the software company that you're building that's this massive change agent. The second strategy that I always highlight, again, to focus on the people that already trust you, is to really start to focus on this activation to revenue piece. This activation to revenue piece is the second piece I want you to focus on, because they're already checking out your product, they already kind of trust you. Figure out how to actually increase activation. Figure out how to actually increase revenue. This is the best ways to actually drive down your customer acquisition costs. Because remember, your customer acquisition cost is how much did you spend in, say, last quarter, and how many customers did you bring on? So your costs will go down if you increase the number of customers that you bring on, that you actually spend money getting into the conversation. So the more these metrics go up, the more effective your CAC is going to be, your customer acquisition cost. So number one is actually ask for referrals and create a space and host dinners to actually drive for those referrals. The second one is actually improve your activation and your revenue metric. Because if you can do those things, if you can actually tweak those, so more people that you already spend money on to start to enter the conversation actually convert, then your CAC goes down. So if you're starting to see this, the core principle, the first principle around all of this, both the two strategies are around focus on the people that already trust you and get them to trust you more and get them to bring more people using their trust to actually into your platform. If you're starting to see the brilliance in this and why this makes so much more sense to reduce CAC, can I just get a yes in the comments below? And also link me to your SaaS business. I want to check out what you're working on. So those are the first two strategies. The third strategy is where most people would start, but I always say leave it to the end because that's the hardest to do. It'll take some time and you can't over-optimize in the early days, is your actual acquisition strategy. This is the part where you're looking at your ICP and you're actually acquiring these people into your funnel, your unstoppable sales funnel. And by the way, if you're in that stage where you don't quite have an unstoppable sales funnel, if you don't quite have a way to acquire these customers into your product, be sure to check out my video, the Unstoppable Sales Funnel. I'll link to it below, but that's what that looks like. I go into the details of actually how to build out this piece in a very specific way. Now, anyway, to reduce the CAC, there's this thing that I've always done in different SaaS businesses or advise people to do is called the zoom in pivot. What ends up always happening is there's a certain type of customer. They're in a particular market segment. There's a certain type of customer. There's a certain persona. There's a certain use case that always is doing better. The cost to acquire them is actually lower than most other people you're targeting. This happened to me at ToutApp. With ToutApp, we were acquiring biz dev people, PR people, HR people, but turns out the sales people that were coming in through our funnel actually paid the most, stayed the longest, and were the most excited about the product. So we did a zoom in pivot to actually say, let's get more salespeople in. Let's put salespeople on the homepage. And that's really what got our flywheel going faster and faster and faster. So the third strategy I have for you to reducing your CAC is to look at what type of customer, which market segment is actually moving a lot faster and is actually cheaper to acquire. And if you can double down on that so you can scale that one. I go into a lot more detail into exactly how to do this in my video on market segmentation. You can check that out here or here. I'll link to it below as well, so you can check it out after this video. I know I linked to a lot of videos to this video because I've just been thinking very deeply about SaaS growth, and we've got a bunch of things that you want to consider. So when it really comes down to actually optimizing for the lagging indicators, these are the indicators that investors really look at to see if you have a healthy business. They are customer acquisition cost and customer lifetime value. On this episode, I walked you through why customer acquisition cost is important and the 3 strategies that you can use to actually reduce customer acquisition costs. The first one is to focus on referrals, host those client dinners, actually ask them for referrals. The second one is to actually optimize your activation and revenue conversion. And the third one is to zoom in, pivot, and focus on your market segmentation. And for each of these, there's a video that you can follow down below to dig more into that. Now, this is just a component of driving SaaS growth. There are a bunch of other things that really go into driving the growth of your SaaS business. This is why I have my Unstoppable Startup Accelerator. It's for early stage startup founders that really want to drive the growth of their SaaS business. I work with you in a very specific way, in a very structured way to actually drive that growth. If you're interested in all the ways that I actually help you drive that growth, be sure to follow the link below. I have a free Unstoppable guide to product market fit. In it, I share my exact secrets that I follow and I guide startup founders too. So you can follow that link, download that guide, and you'll be able to see a full presentation and full video and the full guide on exactly how the whole thing works. If you got value from this video, it would mean the world to me and my team if you smash that like button. It just lets us know that you're appreciating the content that we're creating. It just means a lot to us. Also, I drop a video like this every single Sunday, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. In the next episode, I'm going to be digging more into the customer lifetime value metric, which is just as important to optimize for. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I will see you next Sunday.